Hey, do you need a bit of sound? Mark Bailey, Minister for Transport Main Roads, here at the M1 upgrade, exit 87. Got a nods there. Give me a wave when you're all good to go. You're good. Everyone right? Yeah. Okay, terrific. Look, great to be here on exit 87 at Burleigh on the M1 on the Gold Coast, where we've now completed the first package of 3 lanes on the M1 as part of a $1 billion upgrade to the M1 here on the southern Gold Coast. This is something welcomed by motorists on the Gold Coast to see a greater capacity. We know a lot of people are moving to the Gold Coast. That's why the Palaszczuk Labor government has invested heavily in the M1 since very early on, after we were elected. We've seen more than $5 billion committed to the M1, not just here on the southern Gold Coast, but we've completed the section from Barnsley Lakes to Mudgee Bar. We've got the completed section of the Gateway just south of Brisbane. We can see all through Springwood, massive amount of work going on there. Exit 41 is advanced, exit 45 nearly done. We've done exit 54 and 57. So you can see the sort of level of commitment, and only under the state Labor government do we see M1 upgrades after not a single new dollar went onto the M1 as part of the Newman government when they had a whole term to do something, and we saw the Gold Coast simply neglected as the second largest city in Brisbane. So wonderful to be here, and we're seeing this project progress, and people can see how much is happening, and it's very quick. So can I also say the active transport side to this is terrific. Rebecca Indazzo, CEO of Bicycle Queensland, has joined us here today to have a look at a whole new cycle corridor, separated, safe, connecting to the college, means that kids can get to school safely without tangling with traffic. It means people can get around their community better. And what we'll see is, as the other packages of the M1 open, then the active transport, separated, safe cycling corridors also open with it. Because when you do large road upgrades, you should do active transport as part of it, and that's what we're doing as part of this project. So good news for M1 motorists. We'll see a progression over the next year or so of more upgrades going south, and we'll keep the community informed. Can I just make a couple of comments today? We'll see the report being tabled from Tony Fitzgerald into the CCC. What we know is that from the Coldrake report, the Leader of the Opposition, David Crisafulli, committed to 5-year terms for chairs and directors general, yet his own LNP members on the committee wouldn't support that. So this is a test of his leadership, about whether he actually walks the walk with what he says, or whether he says one thing and his LNP MPs on the committee do something entirely different. We saw him lie about the laptop for 5 months. Media conference after media conference after media conference. Conspiracy theories about the laptop, and when an independent look was put into the matter, there was nothing out of the ordinary. We saw no apology, we saw no acknowledgement of the fact that he'd been lying, and he failed the test of leadership on the laptop, and now he's failing the test of leadership about the appointment of Bruce Barber as chair of the CCC for a 5-year term. He says he supports it, but his MPs have been doing something entirely different. It's either duplicitous or it's weak. He needs to clarify which one it is. Meaghan Scanlon is here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, great to be here for this important milestone today. We made a commitment to widen the M1 all the way to Tugun, and the first package is now completed. This $1 billion project is going to mean that local tradies and families are going to get home that little bit sooner. But of course, it's also really important for local businesses and jobs as well. Just with this $1 billion project, we're supporting 850 good jobs, and about 75% of the contracts have gone to local businesses. So we know it's seeing that great economic benefit for people locally here on the Gold Coast, as well as obviously being able to get to and from work more quickly. So really excited to see this milestone today. It builds on a whole range of other infrastructure projects we're delivering on the Gold Coast, whether it be M1 upgrades, a second M1, new train stations, light rail expansion. We're doing a lot on the Gold Coast because we know the population is just growing and growing. In fact, the traffic modelling shows that there's around 200,000 motorists who use the M1 regularly regularly, so we know that we need to continue to expand it and deliver that second M1 option as well. So really exciting to see this project being delivered on time today. Thank you.
It's great to be here today to see the opening of this new project, and really excited to see the state government's commitment to active travel when these main roads are built. We know that active travel is a really important part of one connected, harmonious transport network, and we know that active travel is not only great for your wallet, your waistline and your well-being, but it also supports those other modes of transport. And we really encourage the state government to continue to invest in active travel to give Queenslanders a choice on how they want to get around.
Thanks, Rebecca. Cheers. Yeah, look, this new section's from exit 85 to 87, it's a full 3 lanes now. So what we see is a big difference in terms of capacity, and of course we'll be extending the 3 lanes all the way down to Tugun in packages. This is the first package. People will see another 2 packages. They can see a lot of progress underway there. So this is a part of the rollout of this complete $1 billion M1 upgrade under the Palaszczuk Labor government. Yeah, look, there's 2 packages to Tugun. So what we're seeing there is continual work. People can see there's bridge work, for instance, in that last package. I'd have to get back to you on the specifics of where the dividing line is there, but they're very chunky pieces of work worth hundreds of millions of dollars each. And I think as people drive through it, they can see just how much progress is being made all the time. These are not small projects, and they're getting rolled out, and they're happening under this state government because we're committed to the Gold Coast.
Minister Scanlon said it's on time, but is it on time? Because it does say it's due to be finished, all 3 packages, by the end of next year. Is that still the case?
Yeah, so Minister Scanlon was referring to this first package, which is on time and on budget. That's why we're here today celebrating the opening of the 3 lanes here. The southern packages have a number of issues that we've encountered that have, no fault of the project, but we've come across, for instance, industrial scale asbestos dumping. 44,000 tonnes of contaminated material were found in the corridor, dumped illegally over a long period of time. We needed to neutralise that and take that away and have it treated. We've got some PFAS issues which have been discovered as we progress through the project, and of course with the La Nina summer, the relentless rain over summer meant that, for instance, concrete pours couldn't happen often because there was just too much rain about and it wasn't dry enough. So combine that with the COVID and the flu impacts on workforces, there have been some issues. But we are committed to these projects. We will complete these projects and we will get them done as soon as we possibly can over the Southern Gold Coast. We're not going to quite make it there by the end of next year, but that's certainly not an issue that's our fault. There's a whole lot of environmental and weather factors there that have contributed to that, including that illegal dumping which we needed to deal with to make it safe for the community.
How much longer do you expect it to take?
Look, we're aiming to get these done by 2024. So the original date was late 2023. What we're seeing on construction projects right across Queensland and other states is significant delays because of issues around supply chain, issues around COVID and flu impacts on workforces. The La Nina summer has been absolutely relentless amount of rain, and of course when you're outdoors, you're working with heavy machinery, you're doing big concrete pours, of course that's going to have an impact. That's inevitable, but we are proceeding as quickly as we can. Yeah, look, absolutely. The cycleway along here is part of not just a commitment to better active transport for the Gold Coast communities near the M1, giving them a whole new safe corridor that didn't exist before, but it's part of a vision of this state Labor government to build active transport bikeways from Brisbane to the border. As we do M1 upgrades, as we do the second M1, as we will connect up all of the active transport together so that you'll be able to ride safely from Brisbane to the Gold Coast and to the border if you like, completely safe and separated from the traffic, and we'll do that progressively as we do the big upgrades.
Where is the second M1 at? You just mentioned it. Where's work happening?
Yeah, look, we saw the second M1 held up by the previous federal government under Barnaby Joyce, wouldn't sign off on a key PPR for us. I wrote to him November last year, and we couldn't get the sign-off before the federal election campaign. They went into caretaker. The new Minister, Catherine King, cleared it in a month. So, fantastic to see federal government cooperating with us on infrastructure. And the second M1, we've got some early geotechnical work and what have you happening at the moment. We've got further environmental approval to get through, and then we'll be able to proceed. So this will be the largest road project in Queensland here on the Gold Coast. So our commitment to the growing northern Gold Coast suburbs, including the recent commitment of another 400 hectares of koala habitat to do it in an environmentally sensitive way, shows not just a commitment to better transport for Gold Coast residents, but also a better commitment to the environment here, because we know that the second M1 corridor, it fragments a whole lot of different habitats that are unsustainable. If you ask the koala groups, they'll absolutely endorse that. And what we want is those unsustainable areas that have been chopped up by urban development and roads. We want those koala populations put somewhere where they're sustainable and they can reproduce, and that they're looked after. And that's exactly what the purchase of that land at Green Ridge, right next to the Pimpama River Conservation Area, is all about.
One of the other major pieces of infrastructure our mayor's been pushing for, and you guys supported on as well, is the extension of the light rail to the airport. The Albanese government has said that they are committed to looking into that as well. How do you see that progressing now? Is it something that you think will become a reality, soon?
Look, the light rail has happened on the Gold Coast because of federal and state Labor governments. Let's be very clear about that. It was very controversial at first. Anthony Albanese was the Transport Minister who made it happen in conjunction when Annastacia Palaszczuk was the Transport Minister at a state level. So they had the vision and foresight to know that a huge growing city like the Gold Coast needed a strong public transport system. It's been the Palaszczuk Labor state government who built Stage 2 in record time for the Commonwealth Games, after nothing happened under Campbell Newman and David Crisafulli, only cuts. That's all that we got there. And then Stage 3 now has been fully funded as well. So the planning on Stage 4 is underway. It's early planning at this stage, because obviously we won't be starting any construction on Stage 4 before 2025, which is when the Broadbeach to Burleigh section will complete. But there is planning work to do, there is more consultation to do, but it makes sense, let's be clear, it makes sense for the southern Gold Coasters to have the benefit of the light rail, to be plugged into a fantastic public transport system, and it absolutely makes sense for light rail to go to the airport for a whole lot of different reasons, not just passengers, but the workforce there, for the uni students and the growing campus around there, and for the local residents, and it makes sense. So, we saw a bit of politicking in the federal election from Karen Andrews, but who said she supports light rail to the airport, but she doesn't support it on the Gold Coast Highway. Well, she has a responsibility to tell her local community in Palm Beach which route she does support, but she's keeping that a closely guarded secret, because there's no doubt it would mean the resumption of hundreds of houses, and that's not something I want to see. Sorry, say again? Yeah, Stage 3 is not far off. There's a few issues there to resolve, I think, with the successful tenderer, but it is very close, and I look forward to heavy work starting. The early works are complete. There was a lot of work to do there in terms of utility relocations, getting it all ready for the heavy construction, but it will be a great day to see heavy construction work start there. 8 new stations connecting Burleigh all the way into the light rail system that also connects directly to the heavy rail system for southeast Queensland. This is the kind of infrastructure a growing city needs, and it's happening under this state Palaszczuk Labor government.
A lot of these projects obviously will be very important for the 2032 Olympics. The Mayor has previously expressed concerns about whether we'll be cutting it quite fine in terms of delivering things like the River Connector and the light rail to the airport. Do you think we will have them done in time?
Oh, absolutely. I've got no doubt about it whatsoever. I remember the hysteria before the Commonwealth Games. I stood up regularly in the 2 or 3 months with relentless criticism from the state LNP about, the world will fall in, we're going to have gridlock, it's all not going to work. But of course, we invested in the infrastructure and the strategies to make it work for the Commonwealth Games. We duplicated Helensvale to Coomera heavy rail, the last single section, so we can get 8 trains per hour in. We did light rail in record time there, Stage 2. We managed the M1 well, and the transport plan worked brilliantly. So we've got another 10 years till the Games. it will go quickly. We're aware that, but with the new federal government that will genuinely work with us, we will have a very strong infrastructure program in terms of venues and transport. And you can see already, the game's 10 years away. We're seeing huge M1 upgrades. We're seeing second M1. We're seeing light rail on the Gold Coast, planning for the heavy rail to the airport. This is a state Palaszczuk Labor government that believes in the Gold Coast. It doesn't just talk the talk. We walk the walk and we invest in the infrastructure. And I want to say about Tom Tate, he's a mayor who works with us to get things done. Tom doesn't care what political stripe you are. All he cares about is getting stuff done for the Gold Coast, and that's why we've worked so well with him.
Yeah, there are harsh penalties for those people who are caught illegally dumping. We, of course, also work with councils across the state to fund illegal dumping officers. We have a great team who go out and inspect these sites and try and identify who the culprits are. So my message to people who think that they get away with illegal dumping is you will be caught and you will be penalised. I'll have to get you the actual fine, though. I don't have it off the top of my head, sorry.
Well,
Thank you.
Cool.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Lovely.